friends. Welcome to the world of Dream Fruit. My name is Elizabeth Russell. I am the creator of the world of Dream Fruit, and today I want to talk us through the new moon in Aries. And this lunation takes us from April 17th through May 15th. And we do have our full moon on May Day, which is, of course, the sacred cross-quarter day, Beltane, and a very auspicious day for a full moon in general. So we had one of our full moons was on April Fool's Day, and now our next full moon is on May Day. So I'm thinking that we have an opportunity with this coming lunar cycle to see the Fool energy actually show up into a vibe of flourishing, of fertility, fecundity, something very creative and possible, which Beltane loves. But for now, I wanted to share a little bit from the Dream Fruit Lunar Tales for Earthlings, which, if you're not familiar, the world of Dream Fruit is set up to be a story that's told moon by moon. And we tell this story moon by moon in the form of a dream. So it's a series of dreams strung together, and it creates an arc that sort of weaves throughout the year. And so we're working with the Lunar Tales for Earthlings for 2026. And right now we're about to step into the fifth full lunar cycle of 2026, which in Dream Fruit is called exposure. So we're dealing with that theme of exposure, which I'm really excited to talk to you about today. First, let's just talk a little bit about what is Dream Fruit, because it's a very important conversation to be having right now. Dream Fruit is a world that I created about, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago. The idea behind it is that we're activating the imagination in a focused way as a magical technology, as a birthright tool of creation. And we're activating the imagination in company with allies that are from the more than human world and with our sense of natural time. So we're tuning into the natural cycles of light and dark, which is why we follow the moon. This is our way of remembering ourselves as deeply connected with something bigger, with the larger living story, with the breathing body of Gaia, of Earth, remembering that we, in our human bodies, in our human suit and our human lives, that we actually are part of something more. It's not just us. If it were, oh boy, how lonely would that be? So we tell a story that's very lunar punk in its sensibility. It's really designed to remind us on a monthly basis that we are part of a larger dream. So that is the game. And a lot of what I wanted to walk us through today is just a touch of the astrology for the moon ahead. This is an exciting time. We already know that this is a very big time that we're living in. It's not a secret. So much is going on. We've had massive ingresses. Actually, every major planet has had an ingress in the past year. Outer planets and inner ones, which move faster. But not only have we had all of the major planets make these big ingresses in the past year, we have recently had a bit of a planet parade. So there's a cluster of planets that have been hanging out in Pisces and one by one sort of jumping the line into Aries. Well, with this new moon, pretty much, oh my gosh, so many planets in Aries. It's a crazy, crazy time. But this is a time when you start seeing that fire horse movement that we have already seen in its kind of more chaotic, raw form. But I think that as we move into this next lunar cycle, we're seeing some of that same raw energy that's more harnessed toward a direction, toward a purpose. So we really want to think about what your purpose is and where you find yourself. You've probably been kind of brewing. We just had our Mercury retrograde last month, and so we've all been kind of reviewing decisions, reconsidering strategies, dreaming into a different pace, into a different way, into different vision. And so now, as more and more planets are migrating into Aries, we actually have engaged action. And the sun will be moving into Taurus, of course. Also, Venus and Uranus are going to do this beautiful thing this month. They're going to kind of hold hands. They're both in Taurus right now. And what they're going to do here very shortly within the first week of this lunar cycle is they're going to kind of hold hands with each other and jump their line from Taurus into Gemini. So this is a sweet thing. Uranus is going to definitely bring us a lot of big surprises and a lot of unexpecteds and fresh perspectives on technology and some of the tools. I mean, gosh, we have to talk about artificial intelligence, large language models, and some of the needs around regulation for those, but also the ways that those technologies are rapidly transforming our social landscape. And then, of course, that's going to overflow into our actual landscape. We have, a world that is crying out for awareness around the rights of nature, the inborn inherent dignity and sovereignty of the land itself, while we're also being asked to deal with this question of intelligence in machines, basically human created. The innovative mind meeting necessary resources and sort of activating those as they move into Gemini together. And Gemini is going to generate more connections. So the ways that we are connecting with one another through technology, the social media landscape, all of that is definitely up for review. Now, Uranus will be spending a good solid number of years in the sign of Gemini. It'll be there until 2033. So we can really expect, and we had a little preview of this last year, but for now, I just want to say we can really expect going forward that what we see in this month is going to really lay the foundation for some of the themes that will unfold in the world of technology and in the world of communication and how we connect with each other through 2033. So with that, let me just share a few things before we jump into the lunar tale for this month. I want to just remind you that what we're doing and the reason we tell this story as a dream is that we want to activate a different part of the psyche, of a different part of our awareness. We spend a lot of time in linear mind dealing with things quite rationally. And yeah, it's true. We've also really lost sight of the value and role of intuition, of the language of symbol and story, of dream. And so using the imagination in a more focused way to really give us a story to move us toward a vision of a flourishing world is a way of, gosh, it's always the last place you look. This is a tool that's been underutilized, the human imagination, at a time when we actually need it. So it's sort of like we've been kind of trying to do something with one lobe of our brain, well, actually a whole hemisphere of our brain tied behind our back, so to speak. So this is our one attempt to kind of balance the scales a little bit. So let's kind of begin our pivot into what I call moon mind. And you can soften your gaze, you can close your eyes. We are just going to remember that we are alive inside a pulsing, magical, enchanted world. Everything alive, everything communicating with everything. And from here, we get symbol and story. We get messages from a deeper intelligence. In this case, we're entering the dream of the exposure moon. And in the dream of the exposure moon, a splendid tent rises through the forest canopy. Along with our creature kin, we flock from all directions, colors blazing. But the mistress of light has retreated to shadow, leaving hollow and listless performances to show in her place. Everyone can see the harsh light is a staged one, a mirage stealing life from the world. Our very colors drain until a weak beacon is all we can muster. But the nature sprites spot the danger, and they burst into a clever and bawdy dance. Weakened but brave, we join them. With pounding hearts, we make an absurd but joyful noise, and we drive the loudmouths from the hall. And does empire wither under the true light of life? Yes, the folly is the liberation. Flip the script. The folly is the liberation. Flip the script. And with stories like this, with these little vignettes, the suggestion is to notice what stands out for you, what phrases or images, what moments really grab you. I mean, what's happening here, let's just look again, in this dream of the exposure moon. I mean, we're all drawn to this splendid tent that's kind of been raised up inside the forest canopy. And we join, we want to arrive, we're hopeful, we're eager, we want to see something. We've come to witness something inspiring and beautiful, presumably. And yet, when we get there, we find the mistress of light has gone into hiding, basically. She's retreated to shadow, and what's left are hollow and listless performances left in her absence. We know that this particular version of things is staged. It's not real. It's a mirage stealing life and color from the world. But we also are part of that. We too are being drained until it gets to the point where it's just like this weak beep, 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 beacon is all we can muster. Well, this is when we remember that it's not just the human world. What happens is the nature sprites understand, they spot the danger, and they burst into this clever and bawdy dance. And we, in our weakened state, are still brave, and we slowly find we're able to join them. So yes, our hearts are pounding, but we make an absurd but joyful noise and drive the loudmouths from the hall. So this kind of fake mirage that's stealing life and color is driven out by our kind of courageous stepping forward, even in our weakened state, even in our foolishness. We step forward and we make a joyful noise. And this is part of what helps kind of break the spell, drive the loudmouths from the hall. And does the empire wither under the true light of life? Yes, the folly is the liberation. Yes, flip the script. So just a brief check-in on this, the body dance. So a clever and body dance. Now, what we want to think about, this conjures images of the Baba Yaga, of the Baobo, this, old feminine energy, this old trickster goddess. And she shows up with this kind of raw, sort of burlesque, sexual energy. I mean, she's just this wild queen of crazy. We all know, hopefully, somebody like this who occasionally might bring this out, and we love that. And what it does is it opens things up. It opens up possibility. It helps us first of all, not take ourselves too seriously, but also it helps us remember our own embodied intelligence. There's a cleverness in this dance, and it's in the body. And so there's BAWDY for the body performance, the burlesque performance, but there's also the body and its intelligence. Right now, there's so much noise in the information stream, what's happening. We have to sort it. We have to understand if this is real or if this is real. And, we're swamped with overwhelming kind of torturous visions and ideas of what the world is or is becoming that make us feel very helpless. And yeah, slowly, slowly it deflates us. But then when we remember this somatic intelligence, and when we remember that we are just, yet again, another creature in a different kind of suit, but here we are in good company with all the creatures of the world, then something becomes possible. Then we are able to kind of flip the script. So yeah, where does this show up for you? How does it land for you? I mean, we're reading an image. Now, something I didn't talk about earlier, but I'll try to just briefly touch on now, is with each of these lunar cycles, we have a seed symbol. And we take that from the Sabian degree symbols, which connect to each of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. We have 30 degrees in each sign of the zodiac, and so we have 30 degrees in the sign of Aries, and the moon will be new at 27 plus degrees of Aries. So the Sabian degree symbol for 27 Aries, in this game we always round up, so we're reading 28 Aries. The symbol or the phrase is a large disappointed audience. And I think it's really worth remembering that one of the biggest fears that humans have is the fear of like speaking in front of an audience. And so this Sabian symbol of a large disappointed audience really cuts to a pretty deep place in us. So when we are telling the story in the dream of the exposure moon, it does take courage to step forward. It does take courage to be seen, especially when we're in a weakened state, especially if we don't really know what we're doing, and it's probably going to look foolish. And it could be that the disappointment that the audience is experiencing is because we didn't step up. It could be that the audience is large and disappointed because some great performer that everybody has come to see is actually now failing or isn't showing up in the way that they had hoped, isn't coming through in the way they wanted. So it could be that there's like a whole lot of people walking away from a show or a performance that just isn't delivering the goods anymore. So there's lots of ways to be with us with this particular symbol. What are your own fears around showing up in front of people? But also, as a member of an audience, what do you expect from the people who are showing up on stage? And how do you work with your disappointment? You know, and is it a disappointment in the performance, in the experience, in the ticket price, in the, you know, did it pour down rain? We don't know. So there's just, I'm saying all this because the large disappointed audience can really feel like it's tapping that old sort of baked in terror of being judged by a group of people and standing on stage and speaking to a group. So instead of going there, we can think about a lot of different possibilities. We're coming out of a time, this lunation that we're just finished with, the Pisces lunation, the image was the prism. So we saw refraction, we saw light, one kind of light come in and break into all of these different colors. So, you know, there's just a real diversity here, and not just one thing will satisfy us. So I hope that is helpful. There is a prompt for this month. Take some time with it, think it through, maybe journal on this a little bit. How does it look with the lights turned all the way up? How do things look when the light is turned all the way up? Again, working personally, working on the large scale, you can play with this. Symbols and stories are really malleable in this way. They can be scaled as needed. They're quite remarkable technology. And yeah, we like to every month kind of identify what allies or travel companions might serve us well. And so you can play with that. Maybe your best ally for this month is a pair of rainbow suspenders so that you can be a fool in front of others. Or maybe it's a clear mirror. Or it could be Balbo or whatever other sprite reigns over mirth and art and revelry. And then also with the new moon and with this Aries lunation, if you are one who likes to make intentions or wishes for the month ahead, you might lean into Aries themes like courage or beginnings, independence or self-expression. I am wishing you very well as we step forward into this new cycle. May it be a fruitful time. May the pace of life and change support you in moving toward wholeness and compassion and a world free from fear, control, and domination. This month, we can flip the script. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next month with the next thrilling episode of our Lunar Tales for Earthlings from the world of Dream Fruit. Be well.